Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today is Monday, November 5th, 2018, and it's very hard to believe, but we are one day away from the 2018 midterm elections. Now, election day is tomorrow. Make sure you go out and vote if you can vote. Vote however your interest lies. And today we're just going to be going through the 2018 Senate election specifically. I will not be making a final governor prediction unless it's tomorrow. But overall, probably yesterday was my last and final 2018 governor election prediction. We're going to see exactly where it goes on from today. The election's tomorrow, so that means everything that we're saying today is probably going to be sort of an accurate representation of what we see tomorrow. I'm not saying that my prediction is going to be 100% right. I just have the most confidence in each of the calls that I do make for each particular state. I can be wrong. I was not wrong in 2016 in terms of my published election prediction because I've seen a lot of comments, especially on the recent video for whatever reason, of the 2018 Senate election prediction that I made a prediction in 2016 that was wrong. My prediction personally, before I made my YouTube channel, yeah, it was incorrect. But in terms of, I hadn't made my channel until June of 2017. So therefore, it's impossible for me to have made a video back in 2016. A lot of people said that I took down the video. No, it just never existed. But 23 Democrats, 42 Republicans. Let's start looking at the Senate map. So we're going to start off and go very quickly through all the safe states because they really do not need a lot of attention. I'm going to go live later tonight, probably while this uploads, and I'm actually going to discuss exactly what's happening and my impact from the 2018 midterm elections, because this election has been my most involved in a long time. So obviously I'm still young, so that's probably going to change. Actually, that will change, but still, this race, his midterm elections is not, they've involved me a lot more since Donald Trump got elected. Now, I'm not saying that it's because I'm necessarily for or against him. I'm just saying since Trump was elected, the entire whole youth activism type movement pushed into politics. In terms of people that have channels like my own, there were maybe 4 to 5 when I started my channel that had election channels like my own. Okay, now there are well over 100. So we've come to a point where there are a lot more people in terms of the younger generation that are talking about politics. Me personally being interested in a lot more because of Trump's presidency. Different factors really weighed into it, but that's not what this video is about. Typically, in this prediction, I just talk while I go over safe states, but we actually need to discuss the remainder of these states because we're filling in all the safe states now. So let me finish the few safe Democratic states at this point in time. Let's see. So New Mexico, not the state of Texas. I don't know why that one was characterized as safe blue. I did see a prediction where it was characterized as a safe blue state for whatever reason. But right now we're looking at the map, 38 Democrats, and we have 47 Republicans. So clearly, straight off the bat, you're looking at a map that benefits the Republican Party. Why? 15 of these states currently are toss-ups. Now, they're not necessarily too much of toss-ups. Some of these are likely states. And actually, let's see, a couple of them are likely states, but none of them are truly that beneficial to the GOP. But just looking at the numbers, you need 3 out of these 15 seats in order to retain the majority for the GOP. For the Democratic Party, you need 13 out of these 15 seats to take the majority, in the United States Senate. We're looking at a map that really does not benefit the Democratic Party. Listing off states: Montana, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Indiana, Missouri, and Florida. Those are states that I all labeled, that I all named, that were won by Donald Trump in 2016 that currently have Democratic incumbents. Let that sink in for a moment. Think about how much of an uphill climb this would have been if Trump had won these states and Hillary Clinton was president. But luckily for them, this is a Democratic wave year, which means that many of these states that are traditionally Democratic that went to Trump in 2016 are not as contested as they should be. For example, states like Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, and even a state like West Virginia, which we are going to characterize as likely Democratic states at this point. Now, when looking at this map, West Virginia went to Trump by 42%. Thank you for whoever corrected me in the most previous video. But West Virginia going to Trump by 42%. Now to Joe Manchin within the likely column. That seems pretty crazy. I mean, we're looking at a state that is solidly Republican, or so you'd think. We're looking at Joe Manchin, who's a conservative Democrat that aligns with the ideals of people like West Virginia, just has the Democratic title by his name. So it goes to show how some states aren't necessarily as partisan as you might think, just because they vote a certain way in a presidential election. Also, Ohio is the same way. Went to Trump by 9% in 2016, but probably going to go to Sherrod Brown by around the same margin. Now, that seems a little different, but also if you look back at 2016, the Senate race there was also uncontested. So maybe the Senate elections are just a little special, or the race itself has narrowed down. Whatever it may be, the Democratic Party will prevail in the state of Ohio if this prediction is accurate. With Michigan, Wisconsin, we're going to add in Minnesota now since we're talking about areas around the Rust Belt. Right now we're looking at states that were won by Trump in 2016, disregarding Minnesota. But we're looking at states that have mildly popular incumbents, Michigan more than Wisconsin, and we're looking at voter turnout and voter excitement that we're seeing levels that we haven't really seen before, especially in a midterm election, especially amongst the Democratic Party. Typically, the GOP is more excited in midterm election years. Typically, the GOP comes out more to vote. But right now, we're seeing the exact opposite. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, these are 4 states that Trump won, that Obama won in 2012. So these states themselves were pretty much a flip from where they were before, and they likely are going to flip back to the Democratic Party based off the numbers we're seeing at this point in time. So that puts the Democrats at 43, the Republicans at 47. There is another likely Democratic state. That is the state of New Jersey. Bob Menendez now leading by plus 15 in the most recent poll. Could actually branch off into the safe category by tomorrow. We'll see, but there's a lot of data and a lot of reasons that this race actually is narrowing down. Not narrowing down, expanding more for the Democratic Party, but we'll save that for tomorrow when we actually go through the results as they're coming in. I can't believe we're getting results this is the Senate elections. I'm going to actually compare my 2017 Senate election prediction to my most recent one, so 2018 one, November 6th one tomorrow, and that should be pretty interesting. We're going to actually see exactly where my overall, view on the political scheme has changed, and it hasn't changed much, to be completely honest with you. This channel has definitely forced me to be a lot more open-minded. Actually, we're getting a little off track here. I'll discuss that in my live stream, but just a little, running through it real quick. It did change the way that I view politics and the way that I view the Senate map, looking at candidates themselves, looking at actually where their voting bases are coming from, not necessarily purely trusting the polls, but the polls definitely are a pretty accurate indicator as to how they go. If you look back at 2016, only 4 states were wrong in the polls, and one of them went to Hillary Clinton. That was supposed to go to Donald Trump, and that was the state of Nevada. For Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they all could have gone to Trump if they were outside the margin of error, disregarding Wisconsin. But Wisconsin was the only state out of all 50 that were truly incorrect outside the margin of error that Trump won against Hillary Clinton. So 47 Republicans, 44 Democrats. Let's go ahead and start on the likely Republican states. Now, there is only one. It is a state in North Dakota. I'm pretty sure most of you know that by this point. Heidi Heitkamp is not the favorite to win. She already had trouble before in terms of how her base was coming behind her and voting for her. This is a state that is 33% more Republican than the rest of the country. Let that sink in as well. This is not one of these states with a Democratic incumbent governor like West Virginia was a year ago before the Democratic governor changed party affiliation. Does not have a Democrat representative. Overall, North Dakota necessarily they could have voted for Heidi Heitkamp. It's just that her campaign has gotten significantly worse throughout the entire campaign season, and it doesn't look like she's going to win. In fact, that's why it's in the likely column and not lean or even tilt. So, 48 Republicans, first gain of the night for the GOP, 44 Democrats. Let's look at the lean Democratic states. So, Montana is a lean Democratic state. Reasoning, right now, Jon Tester has done very well against Matt Rosendale. We haven't seen a single poll showing Rosendale leading at all. So, looking at numbers, Jon Tester in the lead. Approval ratings pretty good. Yes, he did vote against Brett Kavanaugh, but so did many other conservative Democrats. Also, he could run on the argument that the Montana people like his views. They like his policies. They have a current incumbent Democratic governor, so it's not impossible for a Democrat to win a statewide election, even outside of a year like 2006 or 2012. So we're looking at numbers that are pretty beneficial to Jon Tester. But let's go ahead and see if there's another lean Democratic state. So at this point in time, we are not going to have any more lean Democratic states. Now, that seems pretty crazy, but the reasonings behind it. So, Texas goes to the GOP in the lean GOP category. That one goes to Ted Cruz. Right now, at this point, we're seeing a state that probably is going to go to Ted Cruz because of the fact that this is the state of Texas. That argument needs to be brought back because, yes, Beto O'Rourke is bringing out new voters. Yes, he's winning immigrant voters, but they're forgetting the fact that white voters are the majority. They typically vote the most. We're looking at a state like Texas, which has held its Republican identity for a really long time. It's going to be very hard for Beto O'Rourke to win, but it's not going to be impossible, which is why this state is within that leaning margin, 1 to 5%, not anything larger, not anything less. But we're probably going to see this one be in the lean GOP column. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And that'll be a huge thing for the Democratic Party. But at this point, Ted Cruz is probably going to win here within the margin described. So 49 Republicans, 45 Democrats. We have no more lean Republican seats either. So I've moved both of the states that were in lean into the tilt column, which we will get into a moment now. So tilt Democratic states, Nevada, Arizona, those 2 states, a part of the Sun Belt. Right now, Arizona and Nevada, Jackie Rosen actually leading more in Nevada than Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona, which is very surprising. The most recent poll, I think, shows Kyrsten Sinema losing in Arizona, but if we're looking at where the data comes from, we're seeing a lot of Republican groups start to poll the area, whereas we're seeing some more quote-unquote unbiased sources poll Arizona that showed that the Democrat had I'm not cherry picking polls. We're looking at the Trafalgar group that has the R by its name every single time, compared to, let's say, a CNN poll, which many of you do not trust because it is done by CNN. But really, when we're just looking at the pure numbers, Kristen Sinema is probably going to be ahead based off the quote-unquote unbiased polls that don't have a party affiliation next to it. As for the state of Nevada, Jackie Rosen is just somehow led by 4% in the most recent poll. Pretty surprising to me, but I mean, the Democratic Party, if they win there, it's a win, and it is a gain. So Arizona and Nevada are 2 gains for the Democratic Party. Another tilt Democratic state is the state of Indiana and the state of Florida. Right now, Bill Nelson is actually leading by a pretty good amount. It's not enough to put it into the lean column. His lead has narrowed down. Rick Scott's lead has gone, not lead, sorry. I guess loss margin has gone up in terms of where it's at. Possibly could be less than 1%. We're actually going to see tomorrow because Election Day is tomorrow. But we'll see who wins at the end of the night. Indiana, Joe Donnelly is narrowly leading, but again, that one can really flip. That's why it's in the tote column, and it's not in safe, likely, or lean. So 2 states remain. Right now, we're actually going to give the GOP the majority by putting Texas into the tote column. 2 more polls came out that show Phil Bredesen and Marsha Blackburn in an exact tie, 49-49, and there are 2 other numbers, but they are a tie. So right now, this race definitely could narrow down to a 1-point margin. With Phil Bredesen's popularity, him being known across the state, this one could go from tilt R to lean R depending on the margin, but we're probably not going to see a Democratic victory here. Unfortunately for the Democratic Party, they're probably not going to get a gain from the state of Tennessee itself. And the final state we have yet to characterize is the state of Missouri. We're going to put that one into the tilt Republican column. This one was in the tilt Democratic column yesterday. So what changed? Well, if we look at the data, the data has favored Josh Hawley a little bit better than it was before. Also, when I reanalyze my argument, it seemed a little bit flawed in the terms of where we're getting a lot of the information from the state of Missouri itself, in terms of where the pundits put the state of Missouri itself as well. So when we're looking at the voter demographics, early voting, I do not factor into any of this. We're looking at states that if early voting mattered, Hillary Clinton would be president right now. So we're not trusting that too much. As for the state of Missouri itself, right now, it looks like Claire McCaskill actually could lose this race, which doesn't necessarily hurt the Democrats as much as you might think. There are 51 Republicans, 49 Democrats in the final map based off this video itself. That's the same exact thing we're seeing now, just a flip. Missouri gets more red, North Dakota gets more red, Nevada gets more blue, Arizona gets more blue. So that wraps up today's video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.